Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of the PreTest Show. My name is Max, and I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Kiki.
Hello, everyone. I am so ready to get the show on the road. See what I did there, Max?
Okay, I see it, Kiki, and I'm already concerned. But I'm also excited because today we're kicking things off for all our future drivers in the great state of Alabama.
That's right. If you're getting ready for that driver's license exam, you are in the exact right place. We're here to help you get prepped and ready to pass. So, Max, what's on the docket for today's inaugural episode? What topic are we tackling first?
Today, we're talking about something every single driver needs to understand, not just for the test, but for their entire driving life. We're discussing how you can lose your driver's license.
Oof. Okay. Starting with the scary stuff, you may lose your license. It sounds like the title of a horror movie for teenagers.
It kind of does. But knowledge is power, and knowing the rules is the best way to make sure this never happens to you. Basically, as a driver, you're responsible for obeying all the traffic laws. If you don't, and you get convicted, you could lose your license in one of three ways: cancellation, revocation, or suspension.
Cancellation, revocation, suspension. They all sound pretty bad to me. What's the difference?
An excellent question. Let's break them down. And here's a hint for everyone listening. Knowing the difference is definitely something that could pop up on your exam. First up is the simplest one: cancellation.
Okay, cancellation. What's that about?
The director of the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, or ALEA, can cancel your license if they figure out you weren't entitled to it in the first place. The most common reason is for giving false information on your application.
So you pretend you're 6'5" on your application, but you're really 5'6"?
Not quite for that, but maybe if you lie about your medical history, your identity, or commit any kind of fraud to get that plastic card in your wallet. The state does not like that.
Got it. So a quick summary for this block. Cancellation happens if you essentially got your license based on a lie or fraud. The state finds out and they just say, nope, this license is void. It's like it never should have existed. Rule 1, don't lie to the DMV.
Exactly. It's a solid life rule in general. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is a lot more serious. We're talking about revocation.
Revocation. The name itself sounds heavier, more final.
It is. If cancellation is like getting a contract voided, revocation is like being fired, with cause. A driver's license is revoked when you're convicted of certain very serious offenses. And here's the kicker. After the revocation period is over, you can't just get your license back. You have to apply for a new one and take all the exams, written, vision, and road test, all over again.
Whoa, so you're literally starting from scratch. You're back in line with all the 16-year-olds waiting to prove you know how to parallel park.
Precisely. And the state must revoke your license for some specific convictions. The list is intense, and this is where we need to get serious for a moment.
Okay, I'm listening. What are these big license revoking offenses?
First, manslaughter or homicide that results from operating a motor vehicle. This is the most serious consequence imaginable, and losing your license is just one part of a tragic situation.
Right, that's an absolute no-brainer. What else?
Driving under the influence. A second or subsequent conviction for driving under the influence of alcohol means a mandatory revocation. Same goes for a second or subsequent conviction for driving under the influence of a controlled substance that makes you incapable of driving safely.
So the first time might be a suspension, but the second time the state says, you're done, go back to square one.
Exactly. They are not messing around with repeat offenders. Another one is using a motor vehicle in the commission of any felony.
You mean like being a getaway driver in a heist movie?
Yep. If you're thinking of auditioning for that role, just know that in real life, it doesn't end with a cool car chase and a sunset. It ends with a conviction, jail time, and your driver's license being revoked.
Right. Less Hollywood glam, more heartbreaking paperwork and regret.
Right.
What else is on this list of doom?
Failing to stop, Render aid or identify yourself after an accident that results in death or personal injury to someone else. In other words, a hit and run.
Another absolutely critical one. You stop. You always stop.
Always. Then there's perjury or making a false statement under oath to the director about anything related to driver license laws. Again, don't lie, especially not under oath.
The DMV has a long memory for liars,
They do.
It seems.
Here's one that can sneak up on people, getting 3 reckless driving convictions within a 12-month period. 3 strikes and you're out of the driver's seat.
3 in 1 year? That's not just having a bad day. That's a pattern. That makes sense.
And the last one on the mandatory revocation list is the unauthorized use of a motor vehicle that belongs to someone else.
So, borrowing your rich neighbor's sports car for a spin down the coast is off the table?
It is a definite license revoking, potentially jail time including, very bad idea. Yes.
Okay, let me recap this because it's heavy stuff. Revocation is the nuclear option. It's for the worst of the worst offenses. Causing a death, repeat DUIs, using a car for a felony, serious hit and runs, or being a habitual reckless driver. And the key consequence is that your license is gone, and to get it back, you have to start all over with the entire testing process.
That's a perfect summary, Kiki. You've got it.
So we've covered cancellation and revocation. What's the third one? Suspension, right? If revocation is getting expelled from driving school, is suspension just getting detention?
That's a great way to put it. Yes, a suspension is more like a timeout or a penalty box. Your license is taken away for a specific period of time. Afterward, it can be reinstated unless it happened to expire during your suspension or you didn't meet all the requirements.
Ah, so there are hoops to jump through. I'm sensing a theme here involving fees and paperwork.
You are sensing correctly. There are always hoops. And there are a lot of reasons you could get suspended. The list is longer than for revocation because it covers a wider range of behaviors.
All right, let's hear it. Why might the state put me in the driver's penalty box?
Well, one reason is if you've been convicted of serious traffic offenses so often that it shows you have, and this is the official language, disrespect for traffic laws and a disregard for the safety of other persons on the highways.
That sounds like the official way of saying you collect speeding tickets like they're a hobby.
It is. Or if you're judged to be a habitually reckless or negligent driver. They can establish this through a record of accidents or other evidence. Basically, if you're a menace, they can suspend you.
Okay, that makes sense. Be a good human, don't be a menace. What else?
Being found incompetent to drive a motor vehicle. This could be for various reasons, often medical. Also, if you permit someone else to use your license fraudulently, or if you mutilate your license.
Mutilate it? Like, you get mad and draw a mustache on your photo?
Maybe don't do that. It's more about altering it, like trying to change the birth date or something. Another big one, committing an offense in another state that if you had done it in Alabama would get you suspended or revoked.
Ah, so what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas if it's a traffic offense. Your Alabama license is still on the hook.
Exactly right. The system is all connected. Now, here are a few very specific actions that can lead to suspension. First, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer.
Yeah, that's not going to end well. Don't do that.
Never. Next, racing on the highways. Save the Fast and Furious fantasies for the movie theater. Your sedan is not built for drifting around corners, and the highway is not a racetrack.
Noted. No street racing. What's next on the list of bad ideas?
Failing to answer a traffic court summons on time or failing to pay what you owe. This is an easy one to avoid. Just handle your business. Don't ignore official mail.
Seems simple enough. Ignoring problems don't make them go away. It just gets your license suspended.
Here's a really important one for our younger listeners. If you're between 15 and 18 and you withdraw from school before graduating, under certain conditions, you can have your license suspended.
Whoa, hold on. So in Alabama, dropping out of high school can mean you can't drive.
That's right. It's a powerful incentive. The message is clear. Stay in school, keep your keys.
Wow. Okay. That is definitely good to know. What else?
A few more. Failing to maintain required SR22 insurance, which is a special type of insurance for high-risk drivers. Non-payment of child support is another one. And then a really big one that applies to everyone, a first offense for DUI, or driving under the influence of drugs.
So the first time you get a DUI, it's a suspension, but the second time, as we learned earlier, it gets upgraded to a full-on revocation.
You've got it. And for drivers on a graduated driver license, the GDL, the rules are even stricter. You can get suspended for racking up 4 or more points on your record, or for just 2 or more moving traffic violations.
So for new drivers, the leash is much, much shorter.
Much shorter. The state wants to ensure you build good habits from the very beginning.
Okay, so to sum up suspension, it's a temporary timeout from driving for a whole range of things, from being a habitual ticket getter to specific bad actions like racing or fleeing, to really serious stuff like a first offense DUI. And you have to meet certain conditions to get it back.
Perfect summary. And that bit you mentioned about points for GDL drivers is the perfect lead-in to our next big topic, which is the foundation for most suspensions. It's time to talk about the Alabama point system.
Yes, the driving report card. I'm guessing you don't want to be on the honor roll for this one, right? The goal is to have the lowest score possible.
Exactly. 0 is the valedictorian of the point system. It's a uniform system Alabama uses to track your convictions and decide when to suspend your license. Every time you're convicted of a moving violation, you get a certain number of points added to your record.
And these points are bad, like really bad. How bad are we talking? Let's get into the nitty-gritty because this feels like prime test material.
It absolutely is. Let's break down the point values. There are different tiers. Let's start with the top tier, the heavy hitters. These are the violations that will land you 6 points.
6 points in one go. What does that?
Any conviction that involved drinking and driving but didn't trigger a mandatory revocation, so think things related to a first offense. Also, reckless driving or reckless endangerment with a vehicle. Those are big ones, 6 points each.
Yikes. So one reckless driving conviction gets you halfway to a suspension.
Pretty much. Now, let's talk about the 5-point violations. This list is super important, especially for the safety-related questions on your exam. First on that list, passing a stopped school bus.
5 points for that. And honestly, it should be 1,000,000 points. There is never, ever a reason to pass a stopped school bus with its lights flashing.
Couldn't agree more. The safety of children is paramount. Also worth 5 points are failure to yield the right-of-way, and this is a big one for all you speed demons out there, speeding 26 miles per hour over the speed limit.
So just flooring it on the interstate is a 5-point penalty. That's a hefty price for being in a hurry.
It is. Next up, we have the 4-point violations. This is a smaller category, mainly for things like driving on the wrong side of the road or making an illegal pass.
Okay, so dangerous maneuvers that put you and others at risk. That makes sense. What about the smaller stuff?
Glad you asked. There's a 3-point category. This includes things like following too closely, or what some people call tailgating. Also, disregarding a traffic control device. That means running a stop sign or a red light.
3 points for running a red light. That can add up fast if you're careless.
Very fast. And then you have the biggest category, which is all of the 2-point violations. This is the stuff that might seem minor, but the DMV is still tracking it.
Hit me with the 2-pointers.
All right, get ready. Speeding, but between 1 and 25 miles per hour over the limit. That's a 2-pointer. Improper lane violation, inability to control your vehicle, failing to use your turn signal, making an improper turn, coasting. The list goes on.
Wow. So even something as simple as forgetting your blinker is 2 points on the board. It really shows how every little action matters.
It all adds up. And that brings us to the most important part of the point system, the consequences. What happens when these points accumulate?
This is the part where the math gets painful, isn't it?
It is. The system works on a 2-year cycle. The director will suspend your license based on how many points you get in any 2-year period. Here we go, and everyone listening, you want to remember these numbers. If you get between 12 and 14 points in 2 years, that's a 60-day suspension.
2 months without a license? So 1 reckless driving conviction for 6 points and 1 ticket for speeding 26 over for 5 points. That's 11 points. You are 1 forgotten turn signal away from being benched for 60 days.
That is a perfect illustration of how quickly it can happen. And it goes up from there. Get 15 to 17 points in 2 years, and you're looking at a 90-day suspension.
3 months, an entire season.
Yep. 18 to 20 points gets you 120 days, which is 4 months. 21 to 23 points is 180 days. That's half a year.
Half a year without driving would be incredibly difficult. Wow.
And finally, the grand prize for the worst score in the game. If you manage to get 24 or more points in a 2-year period, you get a 365-day suspension.
A full year. They take your license for an entire year. So if you had, say, 2 reckless driving convictions in 2 years, that's 12 points right there. Add in a couple of serious speeding tickets. Yeah, I can see how someone could get there if they're not careful.
It's a steep, steep penalty. Now, it's important to note that the points used for suspension purposes are only counted for that 2-year period. After 2 years from the conviction date, they no longer count toward a suspension, even though the conviction itself stays on your overall record.
Okay, let me try to wrap my head around the whole point system. It's a running tally of your driving mistakes over a 2-year period. Every violation has a point value, from 2 to 6. If you hit 12 points in 2 years, your license gets suspended. And the more points you rack up, the longer you're not allowed to drive, all the way up to a full year. Is that about right?
You nailed it. And for any of these outcomes, cancellation, revocation, or suspension, getting your license back involves a process.
Let me guess. It involves paying money.
It always involves paying money. There's a reinstatement fee, and sometimes there are additional fees depending on why you lost your license in the first place, like for drug-related convictions or non-payment of child support. The main takeaway is that getting your driving privileges back is never free, and it's never as simple as just waiting it out.
Right. The best plan is just to not lose it in the first place. Drive safely, follow the rules, and keep your score at a big, beautiful 0.
That is the absolute best strategy. And that brings us to the end of our show. Kiki, you did an amazing job navigating all of that. Thanks for being our star student today.
I feel so much more prepared, and I hope all of our Alabama listeners do too. We covered everything from cancellation, revocation, and suspension, all the way down to the 2-point penalty for a simple mistake. It's a lot, but it all makes sense.
It does, and knowing the rules is the first step to following them. We hope this was a huge help for all of you studying for your exam. You've been listening to the PreTest Show. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to our channel so you're the first to know when our next episode drops.
Drive safely out there, Alabama, and we'll see you next time.